Hi, everybody. I'm here today with Carolin Hauser, who is the author of the upcoming book, Blossom, Your 7-Step Journey to Healing Childhood Sexual Trauma. Thanks so much for being here today, Carolin.
Thanks for having me.
I am excited to talk about your story because it's fascinating to me. It's a really wonderful exploration of or indication of the resiliency of the human spirit and how we have these moments that steer us in our path, even if we don't know what's really happening underneath, because you are a survivor of childhood sexual trauma, but you didn't know until much, much later in your path, like until very recently, that you had even experienced that. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk. I want to get into that a little bit, but first, can you tell us a little bit about your journey leading up to what you've called a moment of grace in your early 20s?
So basically, in my conscious recollection, starting when I was 11, I started having severe eating disorders, and it just kind of, well, it didn't start out as a blue. My parents got divorced, but it's still, for me, it came out of the blue. And at first it was just a game that I was playing with myself, and then it just became this long journey. I was anorexic and bulimic for over 10 years, and when you have this condition for so long, people kind of give up on you. So my parents sent me to therapy, and I tried a lot of things, but nothing seemed to help. So I was just kind of at that point thinking to myself that I would not live to be 30.
Wow.
I was kind of like, because, you know, the way I was treating my body, was not sustainable. And I felt like there's something else that had come over me that was running my life that I had no power over. I tried, you know, every day I would get up and like tell myself today I wouldn't do the things that I did to harm myself, but then it just, the day went on and got out of control again. So,
Wow.
and then when I was 21, I had this moment where somehow I realized that if I wasn't changing what I was doing, I would really die, you know. And I really wanted to have family. I wanted to be married. Like, that was like just, I really wanted that. And so that's why I said it must have been a moment of grace, because it just was such a clear, you know, wake-up call. And so from that moment on, I was able to just realize that I have the power to change things, you know, and then things started to appear in my life that helped me deal and overcome.
So what started to appear in your life?
People and modalities that helped me integrate the traumas, and one modality specifically, and that's what is the main modality that I work with people, it's called family constellations. It's a process that it was discovered by somebody from Austria, and it's very popular in Germany. Not a lot of people know it here. It's getting more and more popular. But it's basically a process where you're able to see your subconscious outside of yourself and have realizations that you otherwise wouldn't. And from working with this modality, I know that as soon as something comes in our awareness, as soon as we become conscious of something, then we can change it. You know, as soon as we see something, then we really can start changing it. But as long as we don't know it's there, yeah, there's no willpower can do anything.
Wow. So you were working in this modality, and you were in recovering from your eating disorder, and but you still didn't know that you were a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
I knew that during my teens there was a period where I was abused sexually, but I have always wondered, you know, why that had affected me so much, and also it didn't explain the eating disorders, because that had started, you know, before. I mean, actually even before my parents really divorced, so, you know, it was right around the time. So I never knew the real cause for the eating disorder. So then
So so things started to shift for you at around 21. You began to learn this modality. People came into your life to help you. Yes. And what was your next big transformation?
My next big step in my development was to realize that this is a gift that I have, because I was just at that point bartending and I didn't really know what my purpose was. And that was actually a big one for me, because I felt like really lost for a long time and just wondering, why I was here on Earth. And so I was working one night at that restaurant, and there were just not many people were there, and a friend of my boyfriend at the time came that I really didn't know very well, and he just sat down and kept me company, and we started talking, and I told him my story, and he's like, oh my God, if you have been able to heal from this eating disorder, you have to help others, it's like, he just like, kind of like took me and said, you have to, that's like your mission. I'm like, okay, if you think so. It was really, kind of like sometimes people that I never seen him before really, and never saw him after, so it's like some people just have like this immense impact in your life, and he probably doesn't even know this,
Right.
So then I started investigating and seeing what I could learn, because I didn't want to go to medical school, so I became a naturopathic doctor and started just learning about alternative ways to heal, and became a humanistic psychotherapist in Germany, and then through that training, it was a 2-year intense training, a lot of transformations happened, a lot. At that time, I was in a relationship that wasn't very healthy, and I smoked like 2 packages of cigarettes a day, and
wow,
drank, and it was like not a healthy lifestyle, and so that all changed within those 2 years. And then I left that relationship and I actually went to La Gomera, which is a small island off the west coast of Africa, and lived there in an intentional community for a while.
That's amazing. Wow, what was that like?
It was really great, because it just was like a real downtime from the life that I was used to. I had been working mostly night shifts, and again not been really healthy, and so there I would just go to bed at 10 at night or even at 9 and sleep long and eat really well, because it was a retreat center, so people would come. I was working there in the kitchen, so you had to work for like 4 hours a day, but then you could stay there at the retreat center. So it was just really great, and a lot of great teachers came, and I was exposed to a lot of good things. So it was really, really healing time for my physical body and for my soul, and I had a really great relationship there with a man that, for the first time, I felt like really like I allowed somebody to love me as I am, and also just be sober in a relationship without any drugs and all of that. So
that's big.
Yeah, that was big.
And then you have also talked about your realization that there was sexual trauma earlier in life came after you had your oldest child.
Exactly. So fast forward like a few years after Gomera, I came to the United States, met my husband, had a daughter. She's 6 now. And so when my daughter turned 3, these memories started to reappear. And so in them reappearing, I realized that my abuse actually had started when I was 3. Mm. So by her being 3, it somehow triggered that in me. And I probably just was ready, through the work that I had done, to really be able to deal with those memories. And at that point, I had already been coaching women here in the United States, and so for like half a year, I could not work with anybody. It was a really hard time, because I had thought I had worked through everything, and then kind of like I felt very thrown back and very isolated and alone, and yeah.
So what did you do? Here you are. You've got all these tools, and you're thrown into this shocking revelation that somewhere deep inside you probably knew all along, but for the first time it's in your conscious mind.
Yeah.
And you're parenting a child who is the same age that you were when you were abused. And so how did you get through the day? What did you do?
It was hard. I mean, I was just functioning for, I mean, of course I talked to my husband and I talked to a few people, but um, it didn't feel like they really understood what I was going through. And probably a lot of other women that have the same experience of, having these memories come back when they're midlife. It's like at first, because it's, they're kind of like dreamy memories, so you're not even sure if it happened, So at first it was like, I felt like I had to justify to everybody what was it, and people were like, and I went to therapists because I really wanted to know, if they could help me. And some of them said, well, it might not even have happened because, repressed memories, and you never know what your subconscious mind makes up. And so it was a lot of like doubting myself and not feeling like I was acknowledged and not knowing where to go and what to do. And so then I remembered that I had heard a man speak here in Santa Barbara at a local church. His name is Michael Braun. He's from South Africa. And I contacted him because I wanted to do an interview with him because I really loved what he had said in that talk. It was all about integrating emotional trauma, basically. He had healed himself from, it's called Horton syndrome, and it's like an extremely painful nerve condition. Like, I think it's in the face where, like, it's just extremely painful, excruciating, and nobody could help him, and so he started developing this breathing practice together with very specific philosophy and healed himself. So I did the interview with him, and that was the first time that I felt like, wow, this could be like my lifeline. And it became my lifeline. His work really became my lifeline. His main body of work is called the Presence Process. It's a 10-week process, and I mean, the main tool is really to just, be with your emotions and allow them, and learn to allow them, and by allowing and feeling them, digesting them. So he talks, instead of healing, he talks about integration a lot. So where it's really about, there's some stuck energy into your nervous system that has to somehow be transmuted out of your system by putting your attention. So it's very body centered.
So I love that. That sounds wonderful.
I delved into that for like 2.5 years almost. Every day I would just sit for like 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, and breathe.
Powerful. Its breath is so powerful. I mean, we take it for granted, and yet so many healing modalities are founded in the breath. And so
it's very gentle. That's what I loved about it. There's nothing cathartic about it. It's the opposite. It's just like really gentle and not scary, and you're just given whatever you can handle on any particular day. So.
Wow. Well, I would love to, what I'll do is I'll get his information so that I can either put it on the video or below so that people can find him who are interested in knowing more. And as you were doing this, all of this integration work, you were also starting to write your book.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did that start? What happened with that?
Well, I'd always known that I wanted to write a book. I just have never been clear on the message. And so then when I started going on this healing journey, I just kind of started recording it because I really had the clear nudge that if I could really get to where I wanted to get to, then it would be valuable for others to know I got there, basically. So that's kind of how it started. And then really one of the first things that came was the title. Like within like a couple of weeks I knew the title. I knew that the book was going to be called Blossom. I knew like what it was going to look like, and so the writing process itself and going, because I've been writing and rewriting, I've gone through my book like 5, 6, 7 times. I can say it works because I've had profound transformations just from working through my book myself.
Right.
So
you're living proof.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that, I think so many of us, if we can sit with our experience and, like you say, integrate it, our lives are transformed. and we then can be of service to other people in whatever way works for us. And for you, with your background already in humanistic psychology and naturopathic healing and all of this work, here you are stepping into a new level of serving other people, which is so exciting to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much for sharing this story. I know it's going to impact a lot of people, and I'm sure your book is going to do the same. And just to finish up, I have 3 questions for you. The first is, if you could wave a magic wand and change anything about the world, what would it be?
It would be the birthing system. Like I always say, if I had 5 minutes in front of the United Nations or, some big worldwide organization, I would just tell them how important it is, that when the children are first born, that they're like in a safe space. And it's really just for, a business for women. I mean, it's nice to have the men there, but it should not, be in a harsh medical environment. And, it's so important that first bond between mother and child. I mean, the work I do, the greatest pain for most of the women I work with or people I work with is the disconnection that they have with their mother, and that's reflected throughout their whole life. The disconnect. So it's so important to have that as a sacred space and really have the connection, because then people can be born basically healthy, healed already.
Right. Yeah. It gives us a step up.
Exactly.
In our journey. And there's a place for Western medicine, but it shouldn't be the first go-to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, for sure. What brings you the greatest joy these days?
Definitely being with people and doing different things. I love to dance. I love to swim in the ocean. I love to, eat and dine. But none of that would be fun without company for me. So.
Great. And can you share with us one fun fact that makes you uniquely you?
Let's see, I already talked about the tent. This is a hard question. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's my life, really. My entire life is, what makes me uniquely you. It's just been really a lot of interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah, quite the journey. Well, I look forward to seeing where it takes you next.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you were able to spend some time with us today. And thank you so much, Carolin. I will have your information on the website, so anyone who wants to purchase your book or find out more about you will be able to do that easily.
Thank you.
All right. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.